The Daily Mail have been going what we in this part of the country would say hog wild. They are losing their shit that Harry and Meghan are moving back. And as I was scrolling through the 10 articles that they've published just on the app, I know if I went to the actual browser or went at it a different angle that there would be more articles, but some of them were just so funny because like this one, a poll asking if William should forgive Harry for his attacks on the royal family. What were those attacks again? Oh yes, writing a book about his own life, explaining the reasons why he tapped out of the hierarchy within his own family and refused to support the monarchy if he couldn't do it in a way that would be, let him and his wife be able to fund their own lifestyles so they wouldn't be beholden to this incandescent with rage tiny little man for every penny. Because could you imagine your whole entire life, your dad is the one that gives you money and you don't even carry cash. You basically just have to ask if you can have something. And then you're so used to that. And then you hit your 30s and, you want an actual life. You want to find a partner. You want to settle down. You want to have children. And then you're going to have your brother take over and be the one that might give you money and gets to decide and deem what you can and cannot have. Like, that is such a twisted thing about the monarchy. Like, besides Charles and William, none of them have their own, funds because their lives are to represent the monarchy. And so there's discouragement for them to go out on their own and make a living, which I know some of them do. The farther you get from the top, the more you have to find some sort of income. But, for William's entire life, he was taken care of, and now he gets to be the big boy who gets to decide if his wife and his children have things. And that if Harry and Meghan had still been working royals and still been there when the Queen died and William went to, up one notch closer to the crown and became the overseer of the Duchy of, what is that one called? Duchy of Lancaster and then Duchy of Cornwall. I can't even remember what it's called, but he has a duchy. He makes billions of dollars a year. He gets a personal income of about $2 million a month from all of the rents from, the government and charities and some of his slumlord, rentals. But could you just imagine having this dude not let you do things because he decided you as a 39-year-old man shouldn't get it? Absolutely not. I would have left sooner than Harry, to be honest. But again, the reason he didn't and the reason it took him so long is because he would have just been completely cut off from everything he'd ever known. That's a terrifying prospect. And men often don't make that leap where there are no strings attached and they just have to go at it on their own. Usually it's women that do that. And thank God Meghan got there and fell in love with him and he worships the ground she walks on, or he would literally be under his brother's thumb having to do everything he said and not even being able to read a book because he couldn't buy it because he doesn't have any money of his own. So should William forgive Harry? That's not the question. The question is, should Harry forgive William? Because even if he's moving back to his home country, I don't think Harry wants to see William, and it doesn't matter what William thinks.
We wake up on Sunday morning thinking, you know what? I need to vote on whether somebody else's brother should forgive him. We've got bills, rent, food prices, work, kids, traffic, family problems of our own. And now we're apparently being recruited as judges in William and Harry's family group chat. That's what makes this poll so strange. Forgiveness is personal. If William has hurt feelings, that's between William and Harry. If Harry has things he wants to say, that's between Harry and his family. Why does the public need to be dragged into it like we're sitting on some royal jury? And let's be honest, Harry has already made his position pretty clear. He chose a different path. He built a home with Meghan. They're raising their children away from the old royal setup. They have their own work, their own priorities, and their own life. So why does every story about Harry somehow have to circle back to William? Harry isn't knocking on William's door saying, "Mate, can I have my old job back?" He's not asking for a desk at Buckingham Palace. He's not asking William to approve his marriage. He's living his life. And that's the part the media seems to struggle with. Harry doesn't need his brother's permission to exist in Britain. He doesn't need a royal membership card to visit his own country. And he certainly doesn't need a Daily Mail poll deciding whether he's worthy of forgiveness. But turning it into a headline and asking millions of strangers to pick a side, that's where I start scratching my head. Because who benefits from keeping this argument alive? Not Harry, not Meghan, not Archie, not Lilibet, and certainly not regular people. The only thing it does is keep everybody talking about the same old family argument while Harry and Meghan are trying to move forward. And honestly, if the Sussexes are preparing to spend more time in Britain, maybe the bigger question shouldn't be, will William forgive Harry? Maybe it should be, can everybody just let this family breathe? Because Harry is not asking to come crawling back. He's not asking for a royal comeback. He's simply living his life. And if the media can't handle that without turning it into another episode of William versus Harry, the never-ending saga, then maybe the problem isn't Harry after all. Now this is where the whole argument starts sounding a little bit silly. Because listen carefully, Harry is not coming back to become a working royal. He's not turning up at the palace with a suitcase in one hand and a list of royal duties in the other. "Morning everyone, where's my office? I've got 3 ribbon cuttings and a hospital visit." That's not what's being reported. The idea is that Harry and Meghan could spend more time in Britain while still living their old lives. No royal office, no official palace schedule, no jumping back into the firm like nothing ever happened. So why are we constantly being asked to look at this through William's eyes? That's the bit I don't understand. Harry can visit Britain. Meghan can visit Britain. Their children can spend time with family. They can have their own projects, their own income, and their own private lives. None of that means Harry is trying to become a working royal again. And let's bring this down to normal people level. Imagine your brother moved to another country, built his own family, and created his own career. Years later, he decides he's going to spend more time back home. Would you immediately call the newspapers and ask the public whether you should forgive him? Come on, you'd probably say, "Welcome home, mate. Fancy a cup of tea?" That's it. But because we're talking about Harry and the royal family, every normal family decision gets turned into some massive royal chess match. Harry spending time in Britain doesn't mean he's surrendering his independence. It doesn't mean he's begging for a royal invitation. And it certainly doesn't mean William suddenly gets to decide who is allowed to come home. Britain isn't William's private estate. Harry was born there. His family has deep ties there. His children have family there. He doesn't need to ask his brother for a permission slip. And this is why I think people need to separate 2 completely different things. Coming home is not the same as coming back to the firm. Those are not the same thing. Harry can be a son, a brother, a father, and a member of his own family without putting the royal uniform back on. He can support causes he cares about, he can see his father, his children can know their relatives, Meghan can pursue her own work, and they can still maintain boundaries around their private lives. That's called having a life. So when the media starts framing this as some kind of Harry versus William showdown, I'm sitting here thinking, guys, nobody is fighting for William's desk. Harry isn't trying to take anybody's position. He's simply trying to live on his own terms. And if that means spending more time in the country where he was born, that should not automatically become another excuse to drag him into the same old family drama. At some point, maybe we should let Harry come home without turning it into a royal emergency.
Squaddies. Now this is the part that really gets me. Because look at the wording. Should William forgive Harry? Hold on a minute. Why have we suddenly decided that William is sitting there like some wounded king waiting for Harry to come crawling through the palace gates? That's the picture this kind of headline creates. William becomes the injured party, Harry becomes the troublemaker, and the public gets invited to sit in the audience and decide whether Harry deserves forgiveness. Seriously, this is a family disagreement, not the royal court of public opinion. And that's exactly why I think the wording matters, because there are plenty of other questions the media could ask. How can these two brothers eventually find some peace? What does Harry actually want for his family? Could they have a relationship without dragging the old arguments back into every conversation? Those would be interesting questions. Instead, we get, should William forgive Harry? That framing does all the work for them. It puts William up on the balcony looking down like the judge, and Harry is suddenly standing underneath waiting for his sentence. Come on. Harry is a grown man. He's married. He's a father. He's built a completely different life. He has already made difficult choices about what he wants his future to look like. He doesn't need to spend the next 20 years standing outside William's imaginary forgiveness office holding a number ticket. Harry, number 47, your application for forgiveness is now being reviewed. Give me a break. And here's where regular people can relate. Most families have disagreements. Brothers fall out, sisters stop speaking, parents and children have complicated relationships. Sometimes people say things they regret, sometimes they don't. But eventually, adults have to decide what kind of relationship they want going forward. You don't normally get the national newspaper involved and ask millions of strangers to vote on it. That's why I think this whole victim narrative deserves some serious questioning. If William feels hurt, that's real. If Harry feels hurt, that's real too. Both things can exist at the same time. But we don't need to turn one brother into the permanent victim and the other into the permanent villain just because that makes a better headline. And Harry certainly doesn't need to spend his life proving that he's sorry enough, humble enough, or obedient enough to receive William's approval. He's Harry. He's living his life. If the brothers eventually make peace, fantastic. If they find a way to have a relationship without all the drama, even better. But that should happen privately, between two brothers, not through another poll designed to keep the royal soap opera running. Because honestly, at this point, some sections of the media seem more invested in the Harry-William feud than Harry himself. And that's the funniest part. Harry might be trying to move forward while the headlines keep grabbing him by the coat and shouting, "Wait, we haven't finished this family drama yet." Let the man breathe. And now we get to the question I really want answered. What is the point of this poll? Seriously, what are we actually doing here? Because whether people click yes or no, guess what happens? Harry's name is back in the headlines, William's name is back in the headlines, the royal family is back in the headlines, and suddenly everybody is arguing about forgiveness, betrayal, and who supposedly did what to whom. Job done. The media gets another round of Harry and William drama without either brother actually having to do anything. That's the funny part. Harry and Meghan could be sitting somewhere thinking about their children, working on their projects, planning their next move, and trying to maintain some kind of normal family life. Meanwhile, somewhere in the newsroom, wait, Harry is living his life. Quick, we need another poll. Come on. And this is where regular people should step back and ask a very simple question. Who is actually keeping this story alive? Because we're constantly told Harry and Meghan are irrelevant. We're told they've moved on. We're told nobody cares. We're told Britain has bigger things to worry about. Yet somehow, Harry's name keeps appearing in headline after headline, poll after poll, opinion piece after opinion piece. Make it make sense. If the Sussexes are supposedly yesterday's news, why does the media keep dragging them into tomorrow's newspaper? And look at what this particular poll does. Instead of talking about Harry and Meghan's actual plans, we're suddenly talking about whether William should forgive Harry. So Harry's future becomes William's feelings. Harry's family becomes William's feelings. Harry's decision to spend time in Britain becomes William's feelings. Everything somehow gets pulled back to William. But here's the thing. Harry doesn't need to defeat William. He doesn't need to beat him. He doesn't need to take his position. He doesn't need to win some imaginary royal popularity contest. Harry and Meghan simply need to live their lives. That's it. Raise their children, build their businesses, support the causes they care about, spend time with family if they choose, protect their privacy, and keep moving. If William wants to have a better relationship with his brother one day, great. If Harry wants that too, great. But that's their business. It doesn't need a public scoreboard, it doesn't need another newspaper poll, and it definitely doesn't need commentators sitting around stirring the pot every 5 minutes. Because here's the irony. The Sussexes may be trying to close the chapter, while parts of the media keep grabbing the book and shouting, "Nope, one more episode." At some point, you have to stop asking whether Harry and Meghan are keeping the drama alive. Look at who's still writing the headlines. Because if Harry and Meghan are moving forward while the same people keep dragging the old argument back onto the front page, maybe the obsession isn't coming from the Sussexes at all. Maybe they're just living rent-free in the headlines. And frankly, that's the part I find hilarious. Thanks for watching, Squaddies. I'm your host, Miles. Happy Sunday. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, share it, subscribe, and join the family. Now go enjoy your Sunday, stay blessed, stay smiling, and don't let the royal drama stress you out. Catch you in the next episode. God bless you, love you all, and have a beautiful, blessed week ahead.